Hey guys, Rocky here again. Just wanted to give you guys an update on what's going on with the pinstriping and lettering and etc. that I proposed that I would be doing on the Harley. I figured that before I touched the Harley that I probably should do a lot of practicing, so I've been playing around with brushes and paint, and if you've seen some of the other videos you can see that. I found some situations where things weren't working the way I'd expect, and I tried to iron out what the problems were. Uh, mostly with brushing, I didn't specify anything in particular with using the airbrush because I hadn't gotten to that point yet, but I had done some playing around with the airbrush. Done a lot of playing around with the brush, a lot of abstract stuff, just trying to, I sprayed plastic dip on a surface, and then after that tried just practicing brush strokes and practicing trying to do letters and stuff like that, and very amateur of course, but after I was all said and done, I peeled the plastic dip off the surface I was working with, and minus the what I've done in terms of brush strokes and stuff like that. Don't pay too much attention to that, but that just gives you an idea, how easy it is to peel off the plastic dip and keep what you've done if you want to. I mean, there's not really anything much there to keep. It's just practice stuff, but yeah, it's pretty interesting to see how the plastic dip comes off. I was actually able to take it off in one piece. It's stretchy. I could probably tear a hole in it fairly easily. It's not really all that strong. Well, it's quite strong actually, but not super strong in any way. But yeah, it was a good surface for painting on. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this on the bike, like I said, paint over it. Plastic dip on the bike surface and paint over it. Can be taken off if necessary. As I mentioned, I did play around quite a bit with an airbrush, and I did some hand sketching and a lot of playing around just to see, trying different letter styles. There's scripting, which is pretty cool, but and I actually have a pretty good knack for writing in script style, but when it comes to highlighting it with the darker accents and stuff like that, I need practice. There's other letters too. I'm not sure what the style of the font is here. You've got this style here where you have points coming out various areas on the letters. I'm not sure what that's called, I forget, but that's another style. Also with some 3D shading. You can put some 3D shading effects in it to make it look like 3D as well, which I'll probably do. This is another experimentation. I'm trying to get something practiced out really good on this surface or some other surface before I put it on the Harley. Then I'm going to take my time. I think I'm going to use a brush. I debated whether or not I'd want to use a brush or if I'd want to use the airbrush or handheld brush. The airbrush, you can do a lot with the airbrush. You can have fun with the airbrush. It takes a little more skill than a hand brush, I think. I think it's close, but I think it takes a little more skill. Plus, you need a good. It doesn't have to be high quality airbrush, but you need an airbrush that's in good mechanical order, good working order. I've got one that's sat around for a long time. I cleaned up, and the tip of the needle is bent a tiny little bit, so I'm not getting the accuracy with it that I'd like to get. So I may use it to do some fill-ins or something like that. I could put some pin taping on and tape up different graphics and stuff like that, and use the airbrush to fill it in. That would work good. That's better than trying to use a spray can on small details, right? I'll probably end up using it maybe some, like I talk about pinstripes. I may try to do some. I'm just experimenting with this. If I were to do something like this and put pinstripes of some sort around, this would be like 2 or 3 stripes together, different colors, as opposed to just one stripe like I got. I could tape that up and then use the airbrush to fill in those sections in quite detail, so that it would come up with some really nice pinstriping. But that's just one thing I threw down quick. It's not necessarily what I'm going to put on the bike. There's a lot of options for pinstriping around your letters and your graphics and other stuff. It's just coming up with something that's in balance with everything else, and just everything's in proportion, and color scheme matches and stuff like that. And of course, everything matches the shape of your tank and whatnot. So yeah, I'm working on that now, and I'm hoping to get something out there for a video soon. Maybe I'll get a graphic, some kind of design on the board here and get it painted up and see how it looks, and then one that I actually maybe decide I want to put on the bike, and then I can show you that, and then I can draw it out on the bike with some soapstone that I have, a piece of soapstone here somewhere, I don't know where it went, but anyway, it looks like, here it is. Essentially, it just looks like almost like a piece of chalk, except that it's hard, almost like glass. It'll break like glass, but it writes on metal, or it'll write on the plastic tip. It'll write on a lot of surfaces, and it can easily wipe off, and it won't have any effect on the paint or the plastic dip or any of the other surfaces that that we're concerned with. And yeah, so what I'll do is I'll draw something out here. I draw it with pencil on the board, see what I can do in terms of color schemes, get something I like. Then try to transfer it to the bike, hand scribe it on the bike with the soapstone, and then from there take the paint brushes, small, probably start with small detailing paint brushes in order to outline everything, and then use a little bit bigger brushes to do the fill in and try to get good coverage. And hopefully I'll come up with something that will be a custom job, and it's not going to be fantastic, but it'll be mine. Hopefully it'll look decent, and we'll go from there. We'll show you the progress as we move along. Till then, peace out.